Hi guys, and welcome to our channel. My name's Imad and I'm a tutor at Study Buddies. We are an established education centre based in East London, providing quality after-school tuition to children ages 6 to 18, from primary school through to A-levels. We specialise in maths, English, sciences and 11 plus tutoring, providing small group and one-to-one classes from just £6.50 an hour. If you'd like to know more about us, then please visit our website at www.studybuddies.co.uk. You'll find our details on the screen. So today we'll be looking at juxtaposition and antithesis. Now these are two different types of techniques which both rely on contrasting words to create an effect of opposition. Let's start off by looking at juxtaposition. Now this is the general effect of contrasting two words, images or ideas, which basically means in a sentence or in a couple of sentences we've got two different images or different words which sort of work against each other to create a contrast. Let's take a look at this example from Jekyll and Hyde. Hitherto it had touched him on the intellectual side alone, but now his imagination also was engaged, or rather enslaved, as he lay and tossed in the gross darkness of the night, and the curtained room. Mr. Enfield's tale went by before his mind in a scroll of lighted pictures. Now, Robert Louis Stevenson, he likes to use contrast and opposition all throughout Jekyll and Hyde, and this simple scene describes the main character sort of having bad dreams about this monster, Mr. Hyde. Now we see juxtaposition here where we've got the gross darkness of the night being contrasted with Mr. Utterson's dream, which is explained as a scroll of lighted pictures. Now this simple contrast between dark and light can mean quite a lot of things, and it can also create quite a few effects in the text. One useful thing about juxtaposition is that it offsets two different ideas against each other to exaggerate both of these ideas. So here we've got the darkness of the night being contrasted with the sort of vivid light of a dream. And because these two things are placed against each other in a single sentence, it exaggerates both of these things. So the darkness seems darker, and the light of the dream seems lighter and more vivid. Sometimes juxtaposition can also be useful in drawing out a contrast between ideas that seem common, which means there's a sort of nuance between two common ideas, and the writer shows how things that seem the same aren't actually the same at all. In my opinion, we don't see this so much in this extract, but it can also be useful just to keep in mind when you read other texts or other parts of this book. Finally, juxtaposition can be quite a useful indicator of metaphor being used. This means that sometimes writers like to use metaphor alongside juxtaposition. They like to use it in the same areas of the story, even in the same sentences. If we take a look at this example, we see that at face value, the gross darkness of the night and the scroll of lighted pictures is a simple contrast between sort of sleeping and dreaming. But then, if we look a bit closer, we can consider that The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a mystery story, and as we read through it, we're supposed to uncover different elements of the plot and different elements of the characters, which may be secret at first. If we keep this in mind, we can realize that Utterson's dream leads him to find secrets about Mr. Hyde. So the gross darkness of the night can be a symbol of ignorance or of mystery, and then the scroll of lighted pictures, the dream, is an indirect means of finding secrets, sort of bringing light and knowledge to this darkness of secrecy and mystery. Now let's take a look at antithesis. Now antithesis is different to juxtaposition in two different ways. Antithesis is the direct contrast between two opposite words placed next to each other in close proximity. So, where juxtaposition relies on a general contrast or a difference, antithesis relies on two words or two things being in complete opposition. They have to be opposites. The second thing is antithesis usually relies on two words being placed next to each other, where juxtaposition you can have them in two different sentences or maybe far apart in the same sentence. There's no expectation in juxtaposition that the words have to be in really close proximity or next to each other. Let's take a look at another example and we'll start to understand what antithesis is in practice. The man trampled calmly over the child's body and left her screaming on the ground. Now this is also from Jekyll and Hyde, but the useful thing about this is that it's an example of antithesis. The two words trampled calmly are almost opposites. The verb trampled is associated with something harsh or aggressive, and the adjective calmly refers to something peaceful or serene. Now, when we compare the connotations of the two words, we realize that they're almost in complete opposition. So antithesis is a much stronger contrast than juxtaposition. If we look at the uses of antithesis, we'll find that some of these uses are quite common to juxtaposition as well. The whole idea of contrasting two different words or two different ideas to exaggerate both of those ideas or words is common between those two techniques. In my opinion, the difference is antithesis relies on a much stronger contrast between the words. It's not just a case of relying on a general difference. The words have to be in complete opposition to each other in order to create the effect of antithesis, and the words have to be next to each other or very close to each other to have antithesis taking place. In this way, I find that the exaggeration of the two words ends up being a lot more vivid. If we take the idea of a man trampling calmly over someone's body, it's a much sharper or more vivid image than the example we looked at before between the light of dream and the darkness of sleep. Another useful thing about antithesis is that it's quite useful in developing a character and making them seem more complex to the reader. In this example, Mr. Hyde is trampling over a child's body, which is of course meant to horrify and distress readers so that we don't like Mr. Hyde and that he makes a good antagonist. However, another important thing about this description is that where he tramples calmly, we can make several inferences over Mr. Hyde on the basis of the description of his behaviour. So to trample calmly, we see the antithesis in itself, but we can also infer that he doesn't have the same feelings of guilt or remorse that a normal human would. In this sense, we start to build up our understanding of an initially mysterious character, and Robert Louis Stevenson, he's using two simple words and putting them together to really build up our understanding and develop the character that he's made. So that's all for now. Next time we're going to be looking at rhyming techniques, and this is going to be the start of a close analysis into different poetic techniques and the exploration of the use of sound in poetry. So we're going to be looking at poetic timing, we're going to be looking at rhythm, and we're going to be looking at rhyme and how it's used in different forms. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and feel free to subscribe to our channel to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.